turn the lights on and see kind of how it looks like with where these are mounted now. Also get a shot with the lights off. So this is with the lights off. I got a lot of backlight, but still lights up the box really nice even with the backlight from our machines and whatnot in here.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the MCE Off-Road Garage. Today we have our Defender HD11 and we're going to be putting in some bed lights. Basically those lights are going to be flush mounted in the box, so that way if you're working at night or you're on the trail at nighttime, need to get a little bit of light to see your tools or whatever you got going on, go ahead, flip a switch, have some light back there. So we'll go through the overview and the installation process, and then we'll show you what everything looks like once we're done. So let's get into it.
So in your bed light kit, this is what you're going to have. This is set up for the rocker switch. This does not have our power system included. It's going to come with obviously your 4 lights for mounting in the bed, rocker switch. Says bed lights on it. That's going to be amber colored, just like how the OEM switches are in there, so that way everything matches. You're going to have a little baggie here with a card with some info on the lights, and then 2 nuts in there for attaching wires to the keyed power and ground posts. Wire that runs from the lights in the back all the way up to the front, and then this wire goes from the keyed power post to the switch, then zip ties. This kit's also going to come with paper instructions, but I'm not going to show those here because you're watching a video. So if you do have our accessory power kit, you're not going to get the switch, you're not going to get this wire harness, and this harness will be much shorter because you don't have to run it all the way up to the front. Just going to be plugged in right by the battery area. That way you don't have to tear the floor apart and dash and all that. But that's a general overview of what we have in the kit. What you're going to have when you open up the box to make sure that when you did get it, if there is anything missing, this is the correct stuff. So we'll get over and start installing it. Alright, so to remove the side panels on these HD11s, what you want to do is you want to remove these T30 bolts basically in this order. Otherwise you're going to kind of run the risk of damaging the panel by it falling off and not being able to hold it in place as you're taking them out. So you want to start with these bottom ones. There's one right here, one right here. Then the next one you want to get is up underneath this box, kind of right where the latch is. There's one right up underneath there, and there is one on the back side right here. Then you come along to the top, there is one right here and one right here. And then after that you want to kind of hold this panel in place, just kind of hold it from falling down. And then you're going to want to remove this one here that I have kind of sticking out. I've already got it coming out a little bit from doing other work, but this is the last one you want to take out. And then the panel will kind of come loose, but it'll hold on this bar. So before you take that last one out, if you close this, when you take this last one out, this panel is going to kind of sit on that latch bar, and then you can hold it here while you unplug the tail light. Alright, so now with the bolts removed, this is going to kind of come down a little bit. It'll kind of fall down, but where it goes around the latch here, we'll kind of hold it in place while you can get stuff unplugged. So down here you can see this is where the tail light plug is. This side of the clip you can lift up on and then slide the gray part of the plug towards the front of the machine. Then it'll come out. Then you can take this panel and you can slide it forward off the latch. Same thing with the driver's side. Alright, so for the bed light mounting, you can see here, I have one light mounted, I have the other side mounted, but under here, this is a 7/16 drill bit. Basically, you just choose wherever you want your lights to mount. There's no set standard way. I did it on, the front side of each post slot, but there's no, wherever it's going to work best for you. And some guys have running boxes, toolboxes up here, so you want both lights kind of farther towards the back. That's fine. There's enough wire length here that you can run the light all the way up in the front and it'll still make it back to the rear where the rest of the harness is going to connect to it. So you run it like that, then basically just take your bullet ends, feed them from the inside of the box to the outside. That comes through. Then you go ahead, put one of these on. These screw nuts on there first. So go ahead, screw that one on there. Kind of hold the light from the inside. Just tighten that up. And then the second nut is just going to act like a jam nut, so that one's not going to come loose. So you just put that one on the same way, get it tight on the threads on that first nut. Alright, so now you can see our wires run here. Just zip tied it and just bundled them up. It's going to be a little bit different depending on where you have your lights mounted. But in this case, this is how we're going to run it. Zip tie it, tidy them up, zip tie them here, and just let them sit. So that way when we run our main harness across, it's easy, just plug that harness in and we'll keep going. Alright, so now over here on the passenger side of the machine, we're going to go ahead and tip the box up. We have our harness here that runs to the lights. It has driver and passenger tags on the ends. Depending on what switch option you're going to be running, this one says power system because it's hooking up to our bullet point power system that's run through there to make hooking accessories up like this easy. But we're also going to show you, this will just say switch harness for if you're going to run it all the way through the tunnel, all the way up to a rocker switch. But down in here, you can see where these stock wires run through, right down underneath there. Those wires come through right here in the firewall. So we're going to take the end that says power system or switch harness. We're going to go ahead and feed that down through there first. Alright, so we've run our wire across the battery area here. It's just going to connect to whichever switch number that we're going to run on our switch panel for this system. If you're not using this system, then you're going to run the wire all the way up along the tunnel. This is a max machine, so run up to the front here, all the way along the front. You're going to run it up underneath this panel. You can lift this up to gain access back below here. We removed these screws earlier, but then you're going to run your wire up along the stock wiring and then under the dash right up to where the rocker switches would be up here. Alright, so to remove the pillar panel covers here, the process is going to be the same for the driver and the passenger. You're going to pull out 3 push pins. There's one here, 2, and then 3 up at the top, and then remove this T30 Torx. It's up at the top of the pillar. Then you're going to go ahead and take a small screwdriver and get it behind this clip on the shock mount here. And you're just going to pull this clip out towards the center of the machine, and then it will release the shock from the mount. And then from that point, then you can pull your pillar off around this shock mount bolt. You're going to want to do this just one side at a time. After you have the pillar removed, you're going to want to go ahead and just take your shock and then just click it back on there, so that way, at least one shock is holding the window up at a time. That way you don't have to worry about it falling down. The other note is this little air vent. There's a rubber vent guide behind it that's attached to it. Just make sure that when you're pulling that apart, that is going to kind of give you a little bit of tension from pulling it off. But you can just You pull on it and the rubber boot will come off the plastic. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pop off these cover panels. There's one on the driver's side, same way on the passenger side. But right here you can just get your thumbs underneath here, just lift up, and then it pops up, and then you can sneak it out like that. Once you have that out, then we're going to go ahead and remove these 3 T30 Torx bolts for the window latch, and we're going to move that out of the way too. Alright, now that we pulled off the side panels, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 T30 Torx bolts that need to be removed first. Alright, so now that you got your bolts removed from the dash panel, all you have to do is just grab on this front edge and just lift up on it, and then it will unsnap from its spots, and then you can lift it up and out away from these shock mounts here, and then you just slide it right out of place. Alright, so now at this point we're going to remove the battery cover. There's just these 2 twist pins. There's one farther up there towards the middle, and then there's one over here on the outside. Just pull this out and just twist and turn them out. Once you get the cover off, that's when we're going to go ahead and just disconnect your battery right away too, for the wiring, just to be safe, and then we'll move along to get some panels out after that. Right, so the first floor mat we're going to get removed is the driver's side. It is actually screwed in with some T20 Torx all along the bottom, and then there's one up here, and then also one up back behind the pedals. So you're going to remove those along with the washers, and then we're going to pull this floor mat out first. Alright, so now that we have the floor liners out of the machine, we can go ahead and remove this first front center panel. It's just push pins along the passenger and along the driver's side. The best way to get those is with push pin pliers. Basically get in here, pull the center of the push pin up. So either the whole thing will come out like that, which is easy, but most of the time they'll actually separate, and then you have to pull the lower part out first. So pull those out, and then there's a T30 Torx right here and 2 T20s up here. You just remove those. We're not going to pull this panel out, but we're just going to remove those so that way we can get access back behind it later. And then once we get all this out, then we'll move to the back panel. The next, we're going to remove all the other floor mats. They are just held in by pins. You can just get underneath them with a flathead screwdriver. Basically just pull them up, and then grab on them and pull them out. So you're going to go around, do that. There's a bunch of them. There's at least 4 per floor mat. So just go around, pull all those out, and then you're going to remove the center floor mats first. Start with the front one, then the rear center, and then you can do the passenger rear, and driver rear. Once you have the push pins out of the rear panel sides, then there's going to be one push pin here that holds the air duct in place. You're going to want to remove that one as well. Alright, so the best way I found to remove this center panel in the back with the vents on it. If you don't have the vents on it, it's still kind of a pain, but it's a little less of a pain. But there's a Torx screw up there I've already removed. Torx screw right here I've already removed. And then down here there are 3 push pins that I've removed. Then you can pull this panel out of the way. Then from there you can basically pull this boot off here and lift this out of the way. Then you can slide this forward and then pull it out the driver's door. Alright, now starting to remove this rear center panel if you have a Max. There are push pins along this side, kind of like the front. There are also push pins along the passenger or the driver's side as well that you will remove those. Once you get those out, then we'll move on to the next step to get this panel out of here. Also, if you do have the switch, the regular rocker switch option, you're going to be hooking the ring terminals red to red here, black to black on this post using our supplied nuts that come along with the kit. And then you're going to run your wires straight down in between where this vent is and the screen or blank panel, depending on which model Defender you have. But right in line with this, you're going to run it straight down there, and then it'll come out right by where this switch panel is. And then you can hook your connection to the back of the rocker switch and then replace the panel. So then back here underneath the box, you can see we're doing some other wiring, so there's some tag zip ties and stuff here, but we'll finish that up. Those are other options or other wires that we're running. We're going to want to run this along all of this stock wiring here underneath. It's just to keep it away from the exhaust there. So we're going to go ahead and pull all this through here. And then we're going to line this section up where it splits, driver and passenger. We're going to line that up basically right where the harness splits, right back here where this yellow tape is. So you're going to want to run passenger side obviously to the passenger. And then it's kind of hard to see because we have a aftermarket bumper on here. We're testing the no limit rear bumper, but you're going to want to run it along the stock wiring over to the driver's side. It's going to be right along the back edge of this heat shield up underneath here. So you're going to run your wires all the way along the back, all the way back along here, along these wires, and then up here. Alright, so now up underneath this machine to run the driver's side wires. Realize that the driver's side wires are run up kind of behind this heat shield. In this case, it's a little difficult to get to because of the bumper, but nonetheless, you're going to want to remove these two 10mm nuts, and then there's also two down on this end. That way you can pull this heat shield down a little bit so you can see where the stock wiring runs right up along there, up on the top side of this heat shield. So we're going to want to follow those wires the same to protect them from heat from the exhaust right back here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I just wanted to show you guys where that is, so that way you knew what you were doing. Alright, so we're over here on the driver's side. We got all of our wires ran on the passenger side all the way across. Put our bolts back in the heat shield. So now what's left is just attaching our connectors here. There's really only one way they go together, so you can't really mess it up, but they are fairly hard to put together, and that's that way you don't have to worry about them coming apart. But you're gonna have to use a little bit of force to actually get them to slide together. If you ever want to check it, you can see a little bit of the wire here, red to red, black to black. You just want to match them, but the connector ends will be assembled in a way that you can't assemble them backwards. So then you're all connected up, you're good to go. From this point, all you're going to do is basically zip tie any wires together. You know, put a zip tie here, hold it, get everything tidied up. And then you're going to go ahead and whatever panels you took off to install the wiring through the cab or not, depending on if you had our accessory power kit. But all the panels that you took off, basically you're just going to put them back on in the reverse order that you pulled them all off. Alright, so now that you got everything hooked up, everything's ready to go. Turn the lights on. You can see kind of how it looks like with where these are mounted now. Also get a shot with the lights off. So this is with the lights off. I got a lot of backlight, but it still lights up the box really nice even with the backlight from our machines and whatnot in here. So now everything's tested, you're good to go. This installation's completed. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions on this kit during your installation or before your installation, feel free to reach out. Be happy to help. Also, if you have any questions on our power system for these machines, that way you don't have to take the dash apart and tunnel apart and all that other stuff every single time, let us know any questions on that as well. But other than that, safe riding and enjoy it, everyone.